Hello and welcome back to our course on creating a 2D character for Unity. So in the previous lessons I've been working in Photoshop and I had created a character in 2D split up into layers, and each layer was uh, a separate jointed body part for this character. And I then had created individual files based on each of those layers, exporting them as PNG files with an alpha channel for the transparent areas. So now I'm in Spriter, and what I need to do is to create a project for my animations and to put the character back together again. So first, let's do that. I'm going to go File and New Project, and it asks me to choose a root folder for the project, and I can use a folder that contains subfolders. So I'm going to hit OK there, and I'll just browse to where I had saved all those files. So it's here in our character 2D prototype, non-Unity, and Spriter project. So in here, I have taken all of those folders that I exported, and I've put them into individual folders. So all those files I've taken and into individual folders here with matching names. So each of these contains one or two PNG files. So I'm going to select this Spriter project as the folder, and we can see here that we've got some new UI elements here. So in this lesson, I'm really just going to talk about putting the character back together again with a similar structure as we had in Photoshop, and then we'll talk about getting it ready for animation in the following lessons. So first things first, I'm going to lay out the workspace the way I like it here. So I'm going to take this palette window and tear it off and dock it here alongside animations, right? Because you can see it's quite long once we've selected a folder with lots of different files in it. So I want to be able to see everything that's in it, and this palette window really just gives us a view of our project folder. So I'm just going to open this out, and you can see the individual exported PNG files are all in there. I've got the hair and the head in the same layer. So I'm going to just open all these out, and I'm going to bring them out in order. So there are a couple of concepts that I want to explain here as we go along. And in this particular lesson, I just want to get this to match Photoshop, right? So just really to match the way I had all the layers in the right order, okay? But they're not called layers here. We're dealing with a concept called Z-order, which means pretty much the same thing, right? So we've got an X-axis, which is our horizontal axis. Y is our vertical axis. If this were 3D, we would have a Z-axis for our forward distance into the screen here, but it's not 3D. Z refers to the stacking of layers, right? So the order from back to front of these layers as we arrange them. So I'm going to just bring these objects out here one at a time. I'll explain as I go. I'm going to do a lot of repetition here, but each of them has this red dot up here. That's its pivot point, right? So that's the point about which it's going to rotate. So if I hover over this handle here and move it, you can see it rotating, and I get this like angle view here. Now I want this to be 270 degrees. I can actually just type that in and click off it there. I can also move this pivot around, so I can grab that little red dot there and rotate it. I just wait until I hover over this and I get the little bendy arrows there, and I can rotate it like that. So I'm going to undo that there, but I will continue to do that then for these for each of these other objects. You can see as well, I've got a ruler on the side here, starting at 0, and then 100, 200, 300, 400, and it goes down here as well. It's counting positively downwards, but I'm going to use this 0 as the baseline. So I want my feet to be here. Position all the characters' parts up here, right? So I'm going to take these other objects and do pretty much the same thing over and over with them. I'll leave the arms facing outwards. And let's just keep moving this this pivot here. Now I've got I've named my characters to have as I think I may have mentioned this in previous lesson, but I've named my left and right body parts, instead of calling them left and right respectively, I've called them back and front. So you can see this is like sapper hand back and sapper hand front. And the reason I've called them back and front is more with respect to Z order than with left and right orientation. And the reason I'm doing it is because I may want to flip my character around to use the same graphics to do a left and right run or a walk or something like that. In which case I might use I might reuse back and front elbows to still be oriented that way, or arranged that way, I should say, so that they're facing away from the character or towards the character, and as they need to. One thing I can also do up here is I can click this little magnet, and rather than be typing in 270, I can also lock my rotations to 45 degrees, which might make things a little easier for me. Okay, so I'm using the middle mouse there to zoom, and that's by rolling it, and I'm pressing the middle mouse. That's the back one. I'm pressing the middle mouse to pan. So all I'm doing really in this lesson is just getting everything onto the screen. Okay, so that's knee back, which goes with this one. And you can see that a lot of these are all in the wrong order still. Let's not worry about that until we've got everything in place. So I'm mainly just concerned right now with these pivots and just getting everything where I need it. What you'll also notice if you look at the Z order window here on the left is that it's creating the Z order as with respect to the order in which I'm bringing the objects out. So I've just brought out the pelvis and then the rib cage here. The rib cage appears over the pelvis, but the hips came out before the knees, so the knees appear in front of the hips. That looks a bit weird. So what I'm going to have to do is sort these out later on. I've got this one here, this little one here, this shoulder strap, and the shoulder strap is not really something I'm going to spend a whole lot of time animating. It's just really to act as a mask over the shoulder front sprite. So I'm going to work on that in the next lesson. I'm just going to get everything roughly into place first. So this is shoulder front, which should be in front of the rib cage, but not in front of the shoulder strap. And yeah, my arms are, my other arm here is, I could have that face like this way. Oops, got too far. Okay. And then I've just got the toes. So that's toe back and toe front. Okay. So in the next lesson, I'm going to just quickly tidy all of this up and get the Z order right. Okay, so thank you, and we'll see you in the next lesson.